Hello and welcome to episode number 64 of Supercalifragilistic. My name is Christian Rauchenwald and today we're going to talk about how to use a huge time difference to your advantage. As always, before we get to that, a quick shout out to everybody who watches or listens to this series for the first time. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it provides you with value. Make sure to check out the first episode of this podcast slash vlog, depending on where you're watching or listening to this. So you will learn a little bit more about the backstory of all of this. Also make sure to hit the subscribe button or follow button depending on where you're watching or listening so you do not miss out on future content. That said, let's get into it. So those of you who are following me for quite some time are aware that I'm currently in Ukraine while I'm focusing on the US market. So I'm promoting ClickFunnels and everything that goes with it because I truly believe in their product, their courses and their trainings, and I see the value it provides, therefore I'm promoting it. But the biggest audience or the biggest potential audience simply sits in the US, which means I have an average of 7 to 10 hours time difference, which means right now I'm recording this at 10 p.m. in the evening, Ukrainian time, while it still is noon on the US West Coast and 3 p.m. on the US East Coast, which may seem like a disadvantage in some aspects, but it actually, I turned it into an advantage somehow. And I'm going to tell you how you can do this. Before we get into that in detail, I just quickly want to go back in time. Back when I lived in Thailand, so for those of you who don't know, I spent 2 years of my life in Thailand and I was working for companies and clients in Germany and Austria, which had a 5 to 6 hour time difference, which was a little bit more convenient because it meant when I slept till noon, it was still 6 a.m. in the morning or 7 a.m. in the morning within Germany. So I could just start the day late and then work in the afternoon for a couple of hours. And usually I told everybody that I'm already booked for the afternoon, which was my evening. And I simply enjoyed the evening. Basically, I was only working part-time, if at all, and used that to my advantage. So I could rest in the morning, but be basically the first person people could reach in the morning when they had an issue or needed something. But I wasn't that reachable during the rest of the day. Like after the lunch break, for me, was usually my work day was already over. So back then I already leveraged the time difference to my advantage and made it work for me. And now I'm doing the same. You do not see it, but right behind this webcam, or actually right of it, I have a cheat sheet that shows the local time for me and the time in the US East Coast, West Coast, as well as for Australia, New Zealand, and UK. So I always know at which time I should be active on social media. Now, if I were to focus on UK, the time difference would be very, very minor, so basically wouldn't change a thing. But because I'm focusing on the US, what it means for me is in the morning when I get up, it's still in the middle of the night for the US, or for the West Coast, it usually is even the evening of the night before. So what do I do first thing in the morning? I quickly hop on Facebook, and or even before I have breakfast, I sit on the balcony and I go through my phone and go through Facebook and check the ClickFunnels groups and other groups that I'm a member of for the night owls that are still active and are asking questions, which also could be people from Australia or New Zealand because it's their afternoon only, and I answer their questions if I know the answers to, which gives me the unique ability to be one of the first people that answers their questions, because most US people already went to bed or called it a day and don't work anymore, while I'm actually just starting my day and providing help to those people who are really dedicated and working late at night in the US. So, and put my name out there that way. And then after doing this, I usually try, I don't always succeed, but I try to stay off Facebook till 3 to 6 p.m. of my time, depending on how much work I have to do. I just then try to spend the time building my own funnels, writing my email sequences, working on other content and stuff. So I use the time where America is asleep to do stuff that needs to be done anyway. And then again, so 6 p.m. my time means it's 8 a.m. on the West Coast and 11 a.m. on the East Coast, which means is from 3 to 6 p.m. my time, it's the morning hours in the US, where basically when I'm active again, I catch all the early birds in the US. So without being active the whole day, just being active in my mornings in that 3 hour time window for sure, I catch all the people who work late at night, and I also catch the people who are early birds. Basically, I catch the most how to say, most dedicated people who, like, before they go to their 9 to 5 job, want to do something on their side hustle on ClickFunnels, or after they are done with the 9 to 5 job, are working late at night to get their funnel set up. And I'm there to help them. I make my huge disadvantage, like the time difference, work for me. Instead of, like, if I were to live in the US, I would actually have to get up at 6 in the morning or something to catch all those early people, but then still stay up till late at night to like reach all those night owls. Yeah. But because I'm not in the US and have this time difference, I can really use it in a way that I have access to all those people. Yes, I miss usually the window of, let's say, like the evenings in the East Coast, like from 6 p.m. East Coast time till at least midnight their time. Yeah. And I also miss, like, the afternoon, evening, like from 3 p.m. 2 to 3 p.m. on the West Coast till, like, for sure their whole night, actually. Or not their whole night, but like some of it, or till midnight, actually, almost. Yeah. So I miss those windows for sure. But I have, in my opinion, the most two important time windows covered: the early morning and like, what's the rest? Like the early morning and the majority of their afternoon, and also the late night. Yeah, again, like, so I easily every day cover, like, at least I reach the West Coast around like 11 p.m. That's when I'm active in the morning. And for the East Coast, it's already a little too late. It's the 2 a.m. in the morning, so there I only really reach the night owls. But it gives me the advantage that instead of, like, working the whole day, I'm active at the times when I need to be, like, where I reach those people, and in between I can focus on, like, getting things done, building things, setting up my social media crews, recording videos. Don't always manage to do that, like, during that window, and usually, like today, record it later. But you see, it doesn't always have to be like a disadvantage when you're in a different time zone. It usually, like, simply, like, print out the times, like local times and the times of your target destination, like the market you're targeting, and find the overlaps that are crucial for you: early mornings, lunch break time, evenings, depending on who you're targeting. It may be different time frames that you want to target, but figure out where does it overlap and make sure to never forget it. That's why I have this cheat sheet, so I can just look at my clock and then check there, and I see, okay, now it's time to be on Facebook, or now it actually wouldn't be that important. Yeah. So I always, like, basically am able to also catch the rush hour if I want to. And that's, I think it's like I wouldn't say a unique skill, but it's a great skill to have, instead of looking at it as a disadvantage, looking at it in a way that, how can I use it to my advantage? And for me, it really works nice, because if I would be in the US, I would be tempted the whole day to stay active on Facebook, to talk to people, bring my name out there, help people, therefore see by providing value to them, make some of them want to give something back and stuff like that. And I wouldn't get any work done. But thanks to the time difference, like, the majority, or a big part of my work day actually is very quiet on Facebook in terms of US audience. And so I can easily, like, just close Facebook and focus on getting work done, producing content, setting up membership areas, thinking about the next funnel, writing sales scripts and all of that. And therefore actually process faster. I think, as if I were in the US, things would go slower. At some point, I obviously would want to get rid of the time difference, but for that there has to be, like, a stable foundation, so I don't have to spend that many hours creating content or doing this or doing that anymore. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for today. Yeah. Let me know in the comments below, like, what's your target audience? Like, are you in the same time zone like your target audience, or do you also have the same, not struggle, right, like, let's say, like, challenge that I have with, like, being hours ahead or behind of your target audience? And how do you use it? Do you use it to your advantage? Like, have you actually thought about which times you should be active and which times it doesn't really matter? Or is your mind blown now by the idea to actually figure out a couple of hours that you should focus on? Thanks for watching. Also, make sure to join my Facebook group. Link is in the first comment below if you watch this as video on YouTube or somewhere else, and in the podcast description if you listen to it as a podcast. And till tomorrow with episode number 66 of Super Califunnalistic. Bye bye.